Hi, thank you so much for being with us today. Can you tell us about yourself and your expertise?
Yes, thank you. My name is Lucero Radonic, and I'm an assistant professor at Michigan State University, and I'm an environmental anthropologist. My long-term research has been focused on studying how people manage drought and flood conditions. I look at what are the strategies that residents and decision makers have and how they can work together to create more resilient and equitable communities.
Thank you. Can you explain how water insecure communities can use rainwater harvesting for water self-provisioning?
Yes, so rainwater harvesting is an ancient technology, and it has been growing in appeal worldwide, especially in arid and semi-arid areas. So this technology has been adopted by high-income people who have safe and reliable connections to the water network, like we have seen here in the US, in California and Arizona, for example. But it has also been adopted by low-income households that have precarious or non-existent connections to the water grid. So in a way, this is a technology that it's in our context in the United States, associated with social prestige. It's not a technology that has been stigmatized. The reason behind its widespread implementation is because it can be super low cost, do it yourself technology. You can use repurposed tanks or swales on the ground, or this can be very elaborate systems that include underground cisterns and purification systems. Either way, it is a form of decentralized infrastructure that can provide water for indoor uses and outdoor uses. So from irrigation of your backyard garden to flushing, or to drinking if you have the high investment to purify the water. Something important here is that even though it has a lot of potential for provisioning of water, it is unlikely to fully provide for all of the water needs of a household. Something important to mention is that it does have the potential to bring benefits that extend beyond the household into the community. So let me give you an example. I'm part of a research collective in Tucson that is looking at the multiscalar effects of rainwater harvesting. So looking at how people are using rainwater harvesting to irrigate their vegetation in their household, and from that, it might have a cooling effect in their neighborhoods.
Thank you so much. How can water managers support rainwater harvesting in water insecure communities?
Two points here. First is the consideration that what appropriate support is will be different for different sectors of the population. A single approach is unlikely to be effective. So for example, a rebate program has shown to be highly successful for middle to high income groups, but inefficient at reaching low income groups who benefit from credit-based programs organized around a more cooperative approach. Okay. The second point is that to promote rainwater harvesting, I think it's better done if done in an integrated way with other city units. So for example, reaching out to the stormwater utility, to the Department of Transportation, or to Parks and Recreation if they are the ones in charge of taking care of the vegetation around town. And this is because so much of rainwater harvesting is oriented towards shaping the external environment, that is the landscape surrounding homes, both low income and high income homes, but also changing the neighborhood conditions. So people do rainwater harvesting and plant trees in the right of way, the space outside their home. They do that because they wanna create a cooler environment in their home. This is very important if you're living at 110 degrees. But if you do that, then there are questions about who's responsible for maintaining them, who's responsible for pruning them. Do those trees on the right of way create a problem for visibility, create problems in terms of the structure of the roadways? So it is important to have a holistic approach where different institutions in the city are working together for this technology.
Wonderful, thank you so much. And what are some pitfalls or areas of caution that you would highlight for water managers looking to support rainwater harvesting in water insecure communities?
Okay. So first thing is that there is a tendency to frame rainwater harvesting as an approach to water conservation. So for example, across Australia or across California, rainwater harvesting was heavily promoted during and short after their extended drought periods. The idea is that in collecting rainwater, you will have an extra water source that would allow you to reduce your consumption from city water. But we know that many people that adopt rainwater harvesting, they don't only use it, as I said, for indoor uses, but they use it for other things like food production. So if you follow the metric where of calculating, of seeing rainwater harvesting as gallons of city water saved, then you might have a very successful program that would be considered unsuccessful if it did not reduce the potable water consumption at the water meter. So instead, one of the important things is to have a broader framing that considers the multiple benefits that this approach to water storage can bring people, both from the water provisioning part for sanitation in the household, but also for things like water for food production or water for cooling and creating an outdoor environment. So I think a broader perspective is important. And then the second part that it's really important is that individual motivations and drivers for implementing rainwater harvesting need to be researched and not assumed. So my own research in Arizona shows that different sectors of the population have different motivations, and these are informed by their cultural background, and they do not follow a standard economic model. So people's implementation is not primarily necessarily motivated by financial savings, trying to save in potable water. So understanding what drives different sectors of the population to adopt rainwater harvesting, what are their needs, helps us design programs that meet the needs of different users. And I think this is a fundamental point for we need to create water management and water access programs that take equity into consideration.
Thank you so very much, Dr. Radonic, for joining us today and for that valuable information.
Thank you, Amber.